Okay, we're back. In this lesson, we're just going to go over exponents. We're not going to get too deep into exponents, just remember what they are. And we're going to talk about orders of operation, which you should be familiar with. Now, I can't tell you how important order of operations is to mathematics. If we don't follow orders of operation, everybody's going to start getting different answers. And we really don't want that. Mathematics is all about everybody getting the same answer if they're given the same problem. And it's a universal language. So everybody, whether you live in India or you live in China or United States or Canada, Brazil, Saudi Arabia, everybody's following the same orders of operation because that's the mathematical foundation on how we solve problems. So we'll start with exponents. Today's lesson is chapter 1, section 2, page 1 of, I don't know, we'll see how many it takes. We're just going to talk about exponents briefly. Okay, so this is what an exponent looks like. You've got a base. This is known as the base. Okay, you've got the little number up and to the right, and that's the exponent. And this whole thing, 2 to the 4th, is known as a power. Okay, now we use exponent and power interchangeably. You'll hear people say, well, this is 2 to the 4th power, but this is technically how it works. 2 to the 4th is a power, and 4 is the exponent. So this is 2 to an exponent of 4 is technically what that is. So what does that mean? Well, remember, 2 to the 4th means 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, there are 4 2's in multiplication. And so that's just 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, which gives you an answer of 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, times 2 is 16. So that's just a very quick review of exponents. So just to make sure you all remember what that is. Now let's dive into orders of operation. So order of operation. So what I'm going to do right up is I'm going to try and confuse you, okay? And it'll give you an idea of why understanding order of operations and mathematics and what the symbols mean is so important. So I'm going to give you a problem, and then I want you to pause the video. Once you pause the video, work out the answer, and we'll see what you get, okay? So I have 8 divided by 2 times 2 plus 2. So what I'd like you to do is pause the video right now and try and work out that problem, okay? I'm going to zoom back a little bit. So pause the video and then come back when you're done. All right, so you've all had a chance to work this. Now I'm curious, how many of you got 16 as the answer? And how many of you got 1 as the answer? All right? Well, I suspect that a bunch of you got 16 and a bunch of you got 1. So you can imagine it's important that we lock down order of operations so that everybody's getting the same answer. So let's dive into this problem a little bit more. So I'll go 8 divided by 2 times 2 plus 2. And let's work that out. So this is, now I've got division right up here, so I'm going to go, oh no, I got to start in the parentheses, don't I? So I'm going to go 2 plus 2. So now I've got 8 divided by 2 times 4. And then orders say I do division or multiplication, whichever comes first. So I've got the division. So now this becomes 4 times 4, which is 16. Right? Now wait a second though. See this division symbol? What if I looked at that a little bit differently? Let's say instead of going 8 divided by 2 and then the 2 plus 2, let's say I looked at the problem like this. 8 divided by 2 times 2 plus 2. So again, let's read this. This goes back to the last lesson of verbal to algebraic, algebraic to verbal. 8 divided by 2 times 2 plus 2. This is also 8 divided by 2 times 2 plus 2. But what does this become? So this is 8 over, now I'm going to go 2 times, I'm going to add the 2 and the 2 in the parentheses. Now, I've got a multiplication here, so I'm going to go 8 divided by 8, which is 1. So, which one's correct? Well, that's an interesting thing, because it is how you interpret the problem, okay? When we did it this way, there was something that was assumed, because when you have something grouped in the denominator, that is like a separate set of parentheses. So what we really solved here was 8 divided by parenthesis 2 times 2 plus 2. So when I put it in the denominator, I assumed an extra set of parentheses, which changes the order of operation. Okay, so this just gives you an example of why it is important to understand what's going on. All right, let's get back to just the basic order of operations, okay? So you should all know them. You know, this is something you've been taught in other math classes. You've got P, and that stands for do whatever in the parentheses. Then you've got E, and that says take care of any exponents. And then you've got MD. Now this is where people get a little confused. They know that's multiplication division, but remember that's in the order it appears in the problem. So it's not always multiplication in front of division. Sometimes you might be doing a division and then a multiplication because it's how they appear in the problem. So it's multiplication or division, whichever comes first. And that comes first going left to right in the problem. And then you've got AS. The A is addition, the S is subtraction. But again, it's whichever comes first in the problem. So that's addition or subtraction. Whichever comes first. So, and a lot of you know the saying, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, as a way to remember PEMDAS or PEMDAS. However you remember it, you got to be locked in on this one or the rest of the year is going to be really tough. So make sure this is something that is solid in your head. Like it's so solid, you could have taught this lesson. That's how I want you to look at that. All right, let's take a look at some examples. So I'm going to set this page aside. This is page 2 of 2, or 2 of, I don't know if it's just going to be 2 pages. And let's do example, I don't like to number my examples, that's so boring. Let's call this example jacks. And you have to figure out what the category of the examples is, but I'll tell you that at the end. So here's your problem. You've got 25 minus 8 times 2 plus 3 squared. Okay, so we got to use orders of operation to figure out what this expression is equal to. It's not an equation because there's no equal sign. This is an expression. So I'm going to write, okay, equals, and there's no parentheses, but there is an exponent. So I skip the P for parentheses and I go right to E for exponents. Everything else remains the same. And 3 to the second is 3 times 3, which is 9. And now notice that the only thing that changed was 3 squared became 9, but I'm still bringing everything else down. And that is a habit I really want all of you to get into. Don't just do things piecemeal, but make it very neat and orderly so that anyone could look at your paper and figure out what you were doing. Anyone being especially me, if I have to kind of give you some help. So anyway, we've taken care of the exponents. Now we're going to do multiplication or division, whichever comes first. Well, there's really only one, and that's the 8 times 2. So I've got 25 minus 8 times 2 is 16 plus 9. Now I do addition or subtraction, whichever comes first. So 25 minus 16. So that becomes 9 plus 9. So the answer is this expression is equivalent to 18. Okay, let's do another one. This is example max. Okay, have you figured out the category yet? So here's the problem, or the expression. It's 15 parenthesis 13 minus 7 divided by parenthesis 8 minus 5. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take care of what's in the parentheses. There's no exponents. I'm going to take care of what's in the parentheses. So this is equivalent to 15 times. Now 13 minus 7 is 6 divided by, and 8 minus 5 is 3. I suppose I don't need that set of parentheses right there. It's too late, I already wrote it. So now I'm going to do multiplication or division, whichever comes first. I've got a 15 times 6 right here. 15 times 6 is 90 divided by 3. And now I finish it off. 90 divided by 3 is 30. So this expression is equivalent to 30. Let's do another one. This is example Carl's. Do you know what the category is yet? Category for my examples? So let's take a look at this one. We've got 2, and then open up 2 sets of parentheses and write 13 minus 7, and close one set of parentheses and then square it, and then divide by 3, and then close that last parenthesis. Okay, so a lot of stuff going on here. We got to take care of the parentheses first. Now we've got parentheses inside parentheses. So we've got, it's like an onion. It's got layers here, right? So we're going to take care of the inner layer first. We're going to take care of the 13 minus 7. So everything else comes down. We've got 2, parenthesis. Now 13 minus 7 is 6, but we're going to square that eventually. Divide by 3. Okay, so now inside the parentheses, the outer parentheses, I have an exponent I've got to take care of. So that's 2. Now 6 squared, or 6 to the second power, 6 times 6, that's 36. So I'm going to go 36 divided by 3. Okay, now I still have a set of parentheses I got to deal with. And in that is a division. So I've got 2 parentheses. 36 divided by 3 is 12. And now I have 2 times 12 to get 24. So this expression was equivalent to 24. All right? So I think that's enough in the way of examples. You've got a worksheet that you're going to be doing, okay? And the answers will be up online. You don't have to try and freeze the frame to copy them down now.